I'm Leslie Gerstenfeld, and I am here to talk about plastic waste. I remember when we first started curbside residential recycling, I thought, oh, what a relief. We are doing something that's responsible and proactive. But what I didn't realize was that most of our waste was being shipped out of the country and burned or landfilled. Less than 10% of the plastic waste we've generated in the world has been recycled. If we could develop comprehensive plastic recycling, we could save landfill space. We could reuse the material to make new plastics using less water, less oil, and 66% less energy. But recycling is complicated because not all plastics are the same. There's variation in the plastics we use, so there's variation in the process. The recycling process has to be flexible. And the resulting plastic that comes out of the recycling process is variable as well. And to use that is expensive and complicated. Especially, it's more expensive than virgin plastic. Virgin plastic is so cheap because it is a byproduct of the fossil fuel industry that is supported by billions of dollars in subsidies. So we need to we need grants to fund research and development of the plastics recycling process so that we can create, make plastics recycling safer, cheaper, and more accessible for more communities. Recycling will save landfill space, it will reduce the energy and resources needed to create post-consumer plastics and make virgin plastic generation unnecessary. As a community, it's our responsibility to develop safe, effective ways to recycle our own waste. So let's grant funding for research and development of plastics recycling so that we can deal with the plastics we have. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Lena Zental. It's said we measure what we care about, like taking your blood pressure to monitor your health. I care deeply about the Point Reyes National Seashore, and I'm not alone. More than 2.5 million people visit there each year, and hundreds volunteer their time. As a project of the Environmental Forum of Marin's Master Class, I'm proposing working with you, the Point Reyes National Seashore Association senior leadership, to develop key indicators that will measure what you care about in support of your mission for the park. These will help tell the story of the park in an engaging way that will attract donors, collaborators, partners, and volunteers, and will call attention to where action is needed. I'll give you an example. This is from a 300-page report that talked about some indicators, some resource indicators, some plants and animals at the park and the condition and health of the park. This is one type of indicator. There are many. There's social, community, education indicators. This is just one example. So we have some data, we have a model, and we have a volunteer, me, to do this work. Our next step is to designate somebody from senior leadership to collaborate with me to explore this idea further. Before I close and turn it over for questions, I want to thank you for considering my proposal.
Greetings and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Wendy Tobiasen. I'm a Mill Valley resident and an active participant in the newly formed Local Food and Food Waste Committee. Think for a moment about your recent Thanksgiving meal. Hopefully that provided you with good food and community. If your dining table was made up of the residents of Marin, 1 in 5 of your guests would go hungry on a regular basis. 40% of the food that was grown for that meal would have been wasted before it got to the table, and 22% of our garbage cans would be made up of food waste. Approved Senate Bill 1383 sets standards around organic materials and food waste reduction, and Marin has yet to reach those targets. We threw away 1.2 tons per person in 2005. That figure slowly dipped to 0.8 tons, but since 2015, per capita waste has gone up each year and is back to 1.1 tons. We are wasting more, diversion rates have declined, green waste bins are present, but we are still getting 30% of our waste into the landfill. 2 strong Marin programs are actively diverting food waste. The Marin Sanitary Service and Central Marin Sanitation Agency's Food to Energy program collects food waste, which is then converted to energy to power water treatment facilities in San Rafael. Good story. Extrafood.org is a nonprofit that takes extraneous food from businesses and delivers it to some of our most vulnerable residents across the community. That reduces hunger and food waste. Both programs are active examples of positive climate action with added social benefits. I propose that we showcase businesses who participate in these actions with some drawdown-specific notifications, stickers, and so forth that will identify them as good businesses. Reducing food waste, eliminating hunger, creating renewable energy, and reducing greenhouse gases all contribute to a complex solution. And we thank you for considering our ability to spread this word.
Good morning. My name is Carolyn Losi, and I'm here to talk to you about something that means very much to me, Richardson Bay. Richardson Bay, located at the north end of San Francisco Bay Area in southern Marin, is such a beautiful area. It actually happens to be globally important to the Pacific Flyway. It is indeed a distinguished hemispheric reserve of the Western Shorebird Network. I'm usually proud to call Richardson Bay my home, but this summer it was so polluted by high bacteria counts that the children at Audubon summer camps couldn't even go near the water. The sources of bacteria include stormwater runoff, sewer overflows, and failing septic systems like those associated with houseboats and marinas. It's my understanding that this aging infrastructure, or private lateral lines, most likely caused this year's spill. Perhaps it's because sanitary services on the Tiburon Peninsula are provided by 2 independent agencies, Sanitary District Number 5 and Richardson Bay Sanitary, that there are issues like hidden wastewater leaks. Instead of extra water quality vigilance at Richardson Bay due to a potential overlap of agencies, do we actually have a lack of oversight and one individual agency willing to be accountable for the health of the bay? To provide more of this oversight and accountability, I would like to propose that Sanitary District Number 5 of Marin County, which covers the southern half of Tiburon Peninsula, be added to the Sewerage Agency of Southern Marin. The Joint Power Agency can perhaps pool its resources to reduce these unhealthy pathogens and make me proud again to be a resident near Richardson Bay. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Clark, and as a resident of San Anselmo, I'm sure you would agree our town is a beautiful destination. However, lately I have noticed an uptick in garbage being left in garbage and recycling bins, as well as excess litter on our streets. I would like to advocate that we work on an ordinance similar to the plastic ban that you were the leaders in creating. When ordering coffee, it's rare to be asked, is this for here or to go? They just automatically give it to you in a paper cup. Last week I learned none of these paper cups are from our local shops are compostable by having taken a tour at Marin Sanitary Service. Redwood Landfill manages Marin's waste certified organic composting, and they are not able to compost these lined cups. A single coffee shop uses between 1,500 to 4,000 cups per week, and people in Marin are doing a lot of wishful composting. We could change this reality by simply switching to using reusable containers. Imagine if when ordering they asked us, is this for here, and if not, did you bring your disposable cup? and offering to rent a cup for a deposit. This is happening all over the Bay Area, and this was noted in an article in the Chronicle in November, an example being in Oakland, California. Similar to the plastic bag ban, it helped change people's habits to bring the bags, and it was incredibly successful. This cup and lid ban would be something to help keep our town cleaner and help reduce the garbage that is currently going to our landfills. This will also help us with our zero waste goal. Thank you for the consideration to support this single-use cup ban to protect our environment that we cherish here in San Anselmo.
Good morning. My name is Susan Holloway. I'm here as a resident of Kentfield to talk to you about the mitigation of dog waste in Marin County. With all the problems we face in today's world, why should we be worried about dog poop? Well, because our beloved dogs in Marin County produce 11 million pounds of waste every year. Most of this goes right into a landfill, along with the millions of plastic bags that we use to scoop it up. These bags take 500 years or more to degrade in our landfills, and we now know that even the bio bags that we conscientiously purchase for the dog poop also don't degrade well in the landfill environment. The citizens of Marin and you in the Board of Supervisors are committed to preserving and enhancing the clean, healthy, and beautiful environment that we live in. So I urge you to consider a new technology that prevents waste from entering the landfill and also upcycles it into usable bioenergy. This process is called anaerobic digestion. It's already used on dairy farms and has now been adapted for dog waste. The dog waste digester is a tank that can be installed, for example, at a dog park. The pet owner collects the poop in a special digestible bag provided at the site, throws it in the tank, and the tank has a crank which is occasionally cranked in order to facilitate the sort of like a composter to create usable methane gas. A recent feasibility study in Washington State estimated the first year cost of installing one digester at $30,000 with a small annual maintenance cost thereafter. So I urge the board to support a small-scale digestion project at one of Marin's dog parks. This pilot initiative will not only engage pet owners, but also inform larger-scale sustainable waste management solutions for the future. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, I'm Rachel Frack, and I'm a 10-year resident of Novato. And no, I did not eat too much turkey. I'm pregnant. Thank you, City Manager, Mayor, City Council, and City staff for your dedication to Novato. Novato is a can-do city. We demonstrated this when we were the first city in California to approve junior accessory dwelling units to help the housing crisis. Novato has a strong sense of community. We often and regularly communicate via Facebook in our dedicated Novato groups. And this was shown when people were offering their houses who had generators to people that needed electricity. And lastly, Novato has compassion for sustainability. We hosted the Marin Climate Strike at City Hall where over 100 people attended. Novato is a city with a can-do attitude, a sense of community, and we are compassionate. But I believe we can do more. I believe we can leave the County of Marin in sustainability by first approving a sustainability commission. The Sustainability Commission is going to have so many advantages, but I want to give you three, which I think are most relevant to you. One, providing better transparency to your constituents that they desire. You're going to have a board of expert members that can guide you in these sustainability decisions. Two, increased probability to get these grants. We're missing out on grants right now. And 3, put an actual effort and focus on environmental health and safety and quality of life. Sustainability is important for Novato and our future as a city. Better transparency, more collaboration, and a focus on health and safety are only not the only reasons why. In closing, I'm asking to approve a Sustainability Commission to promote our values as a can-do city, a close community, and a compassionate Novato. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anne-Christine Strugnell, and I'm here to talk about, or actually ask a question, which is, how is Marin going to achieve its big, audacious goal of becoming a carbon-free county by 2045? You know, if we do, we'll be one of the first counties in the United States to do it, but we will also be too late, according to the latest climate science. So how can we actually get there? How can we turn the tide? We have to step up our game, but we can't do that because so many different agencies, so many different nonprofits are involved, and we are stepping on each other's toes instead. There's so much duplication of effort, there's overlap, there's we're all going after the same grants or the same donors, and we can't apply for larger grants because no one organization is large enough to get those. We are playing small. I'd like to urge the Assembled to consider a different model, which was done by One TAM. Back in 2012, 5 organizations began the process of coming together to form a much more effective, synergistic agency that can protect and foster the health of Mount Tam. If Marin's nonprofits were to follow a similar model, Marin's nonprofits and the agencies that are focused on sustainability and climate action, we could save expenses, we could improve on outreach, we could get more people to take more actions, because if they came in, say, because they were interested in electric vehicles, they would then also be brought into the circle of the other questions: zero waste, reduction of household carbon emissions. And we could also go after bigger grants and really change the nature of the game. So I'd like to ask the Assembled to help me figure out, how can we facilitate a One TAM style collaborative effort among Marin's many climate-focused nonprofits and government agencies to bring us together so that we can take effective climate action together. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Angie Rotrock. For many years now, as cellular and Wi-Fi devices have become more pervasive, I've observed an increasing number of my patients, both adults and children, who suffer from anxiety, fatigue, headaches, sleep disturbances, ringing in the ears, heart problems, learning and memory disorders, depression, and ADD, and sadly, an increase in all kinds of cancer. I recently read that in 2017, the number of worldwide cellular devices surpassed 9 billion, dwarfing the global population of 7.7 billion. I wondered, is there a connection between the increase in my patients' symptoms and how ubiquitous cellular devices have become? In 2011, the World Health Organization, or the WHO, warned that cellular radiation was a possible carcinogen. That was a big deal. That is the same category that the WHO classified both lead and engine exhaust, which are widely accepted as toxic. No reasonable person would knowingly expose themselves to possible carcinogens, such as lead or engine exhaust, for hours each day or at night on their pillow while they sleep. But this is exactly what we are doing with all of our cellular and Wi-Fi devices, and we are dangerously allowing our kids to do the same. In spite of the WHO's warning, we continue to prioritize Wi-Fi's speed and convenience over our and our children's health. With the rollout of the next generation 5G on the horizon, the scientific studies suggest that the health risks of short-term exposure are even greater than that of 4G. And since there are no scientific studies to support 5G safety, the rollout will essentially constitute a massive experiment on all of us. Fortunately, most of Marin County citizens know how harmful 5G is, and many are actively trying to curtail the rollout in its neighborhoods and schoolyards. In the town of Fairfax, where our clinic is located, citizens consistently showed up at meetings to voice their concerns, and the elected officials really listened. the Town Council unanimously passed new rules and the elected officials new rules to address our 5G concerns this past July. In Marin County, the question is no longer, is cellular radiation harmful? The question is, how can we prevent the rollout of 5G? To help answer that question is Lori Gottlieb, my partner and colleague at our clinic.
Good morning. I'm Laurie, and I work at Dr. Angie's clinic in the fields of holistic nutrition and the mitigation of electromagnetic and cellular radiation, also commonly referred to as EMFs and EMRs. Like Dr. Angie, I see firsthand how our patients' health is suffering from the effects of cellular devices and how quickly their symptoms improve when sources of cellular radiation are turned off or completely removed. This experience has led me to advocate for the prevention of a 5G rollout in Marin County. So the really bad news, though, is that last year the FCC adopted new federal rules limiting our government's legal rights to prevent and regulate 5G. As a result, our towns in the county of Marin can only do so much to curtail the rollout. But if local government cannot legally prevent 5G, in spite of a majority of us not wanting these hazardous, unsightly antennas and the WHO's warning that cellular radiation is possibly carcinogenic, what can a municipality and county do, if anything? Well, as a concerned citizen or elected official, there are two things that you can do to get the ball rolling. Number one, you can create a stronger telecommunications ordinance to better protect the public and the environment. Number two, you can include better protections from these cellular devices in your town's general plan. And the good news is that several towns like Mill Valley and Fairfax and Petaluma have done just that and have recently passed new ordinances to regulate and restrict the installation of these harmful 5G antennas in our residential areas as well as near our schools and daycare facilities. Also, more good news is that Marin County has stepped up and challenged the FCC's restrictive rules in court. And there was a recent court ruling this past September against the FCC, which was trying to bypass environmental and historical preservation reviews. So of course, they could speed up 5G rollout. So stay tuned and speak up. As a constituent, let your elected officials know that you do not want these 5G antennas blasting cellular radiation into your bedroom and into your kids' classrooms. And as an elected official, you do not want to be on the wrong side of this fight. This is the tobacco issue of our generation, only it's worse. Because these wireless companies know just how to sell and seduce us with all the bling and benefits of more speed, more streaming. But unlike cigarettes, we can't see, hear, smell, taste, or touch how truly toxic 5G cellular radiation is. The bottom line, don't sell out.
My name is Julie Monroe, and I live in Larkspur. I'm here today to urge you to pass a town ordinance banning single-use plastic foodware. San Anselmo, Fairfax, and Sausalito have all done it. We can too. Plastic pollution is ruining our environment, our wildlife, and our health. I'm here to talk about three things briefly. Educate, reduce, and eliminate. Number one, educate. You may already know the issues, but I doubt everyone in our community does. Regarding the environment, Americans alone discard more than 30 million tons of plastic a year. Only 8% of it gets recycled. The rest ends up in landfills or becomes litter. Plastic never goes away. It's not biodegradable. Wildlife. Plastic threatens our wildlife. Entanglement, ingestion, and habitat disruption all result from plastic ending up in the spaces where animals live. In our oceans alone, plastic debris outweighs zooplankton by a ratio of 36:1. Human health. Plastic affects our health. Chemicals leached by plastics are in the blood and tissue of nearly all of us. Exposure to them is linked to cancers, birth defects, impaired immunity, endocrine disruption, and other serious health issues. Studies show that if we don't reduce plastic pollution by 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. Education about how to reduce our plastic is essential. Number 2, reduce. Bring your own cup or container. We can do that if we're planning on buying food or drinks to go. 3, eliminate. By passing a town ordinance banning single-use plastic foodware, like our neighbors have done, you are helping our community move towards eliminating a huge part of the plastic pollution problem. Thank you for your consideration.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up today. I couldn't have hoped for a better turnout. I have a message for everybody, and it's a serious message, and it's not something that you hear a lot about. A little bit about me. I'm a marketer, and I'm a budding environmentalist. And I have a question for you. When you think of the word sustainability, what do you think of? I think most of you think about the environment. But what I'm here to talk about today is social sustainability. And it's something we talk about relative to inequality in our nation, but this is inextricably linked to climate change. There's a ton of research that shows it. Now I want to talk a little bit about what it means to me. What social sustainability means to me, and I can't tell you how close to my heart this is, because this is something I was raised with. It means clean air, water, healthy food, equal opportunities. And it's important because climate change is an issue where we need all hands on deck. So again, I'm talking to you, the public, because you're the lifeblood of our communities and for making change. So I want to talk, because this is a big global issue, this is also a local issue. Marin County, one of the wealthiest counties in the country, also has a huge problem. And I will just say that recently I read an article about the difference between how Marin City and Sausalito handled the power shutdown by PG&E, and there was a stark difference in the ability for Sausalito people to handle the shutdown versus Marin City. I'm going to end with a quote, and I'd like you to take action by talking to your public officials. If I could just say this quote: "It's not great wealth in a few individuals that proves a country is prosperous, but great wealth in evenly distributed among people. It is the struggling masses who are the foundation of this country, and if the foundation is rotten or insecure, the rest of the structure crumbles." And it is by a woman named Victoria Woodhull. She was the first woman to run for president in 1876. So thank you all.
Good morning. My name is Betsy Crawford, and I am an advocate for the rights of nature. The residents of Marin have done a spectacular job in preserving nature in Marin County. But as we see daily on a national level, these accomplishments can be undone. This is why it's important to give nature herself standing in court. Right now, citizens have the power to sue to halt destructive projects. But potential or actual and often extensive damage has to be done first to a person or persons. Once a wetland, for example, is destroyed, stopping the destructive project will not restore the wetland. But what if the wetland itself, through a guardian, could sue to preserve its ecosystem? What if it had, quote, "the right to exist, persist, and maintain and regenerate its vital cycles, structure, functions, and its evolutionary processes"? These words are taken from the 2008 Ecuadorian Constitution, which guarantees nature these rights. When the Wanganui River in New Zealand was granted personhood rights in 2017, a legislator celebrated that the river itself has the right not to be polluted. It has the right not to be degraded. It has the right not to be overdrawn before it can replenish itself. What if we granted such rights to Richardson Bay? What if, in addition to growing in preserved space, the wildflowers filling the top of Ring Mountain had the right to live out their natural cycles year after year, along with the birds, bees, coyotes, and butterflies who live with them? This is a new idea, but increasingly important in the face of the ongoing destruction of ecosystem after ecosystem. I would like to propose that the board establish a group to explore how rights of nature could become a feature of Marin's already robust land preservation policies, so that these places we have saved will be able to live out their natural and vital cycles forever. Thank you.
Mr. Joe Giacometti and Marin Sanitary, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name's Eugene Porter. I'm a member of the EFM Master Class 46. I'm a lifelong California resident, and I'm here to ask you to save shell to build a beach. The basic component of a living shoreline, pretty much anywhere in the world, but my experience in California is that there is a lot of shell. It comes from the animals that live there. It was deposited by native communities that lived here before us. It's left in place by people who take a stroll, and it's disappearing rapidly. The processes of recreating have diminished. We're not getting shellfish reproduction from oyster beds, clam beds, mussel beds, and they're dying from global warming, inundation of seas, silt. So I'm here to ask you to save shell to build a beach. We dispose of shells kind of as an afterthought in the trash where they could be collected. They're a basic aggregate and building block of a living shoreline. And if we start collecting these and putting them back in the water, like was a long established human practice over millennia, we can recreate the living shorelines that existed in California, San Francisco Bay, and around the world. But first, we have to save shell to build a beach. I'd like to address your commercial, and I'd like to be able to address your commercial clients and ask them to divert shell from their waste stream and collect it. I'd like to help establish collection points in the community through churches and schools. And I'd like to recreate from the existing waste stream appropriate shell or recycled materials that can recreate shell in the environment. Thank you for your time. And save shell to build a beach.
Hi, I'm Jean Friskine and a member of the Master Class of the Environmental Forum of Marin. Some observant person has discovered that king mealworms, also called superworms, like to consume polystyrene, commonly known as styrofoam. They are the larvae of a type of darkling beetle sold as pet food for lizards, snakes, and birds. Since I happen to have had a small block of styrofoam lying around the house, I thought I would experiment directly myself. I bought this plastic container filled with 50 live worms for $5.99 at Pet Club this past weekend. Right away, one or two adventurous larvae approached the styrofoam and crunched into it with their mandibles. After a while, a few more joined in. They have steadily nibbled along the edges and already have made a literal inroad into the small block since I began this experiment Sunday at 5 p.m. I'm going to hold the container up to the microphone. Is it on? Maybe it isn't. But I want you to hear them chewing because I can hear them. And you can hold it individually after this presentation. Is this on? Does anyone?
Well, it's for the camera.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. It's the beautiful sound of styrofoam disappearing. A bacterium in the intestine of these hardworking insects is responsible for breaking down the petrochemical material. When the worms excrete tiny fragments, perhaps still styrofoam, they then start the cycle over, eating the excreta until very little, if any, is left. Some ecologically minded entrepreneurs may already be culturing the bacteria to directly inoculate styrofoam waste, whether single-use cups, takeout containers, or packing materials and peanuts. We may soon be able to introduce these organisms into the warehouses or landfills to dramatically reduce by volume the planetary load. I hope you'll allow me to put an aquarium in your facility so that we can vividly demonstrate this phenomenal process. Thank you so much.